Okay, so to set up the bit of text we were talking about, we're going to open up a sketch on this back wall, and we'll put a center line at an angle, like that. And we'll also press text, and we'll put the text we want in there, DCG 2014. And because I've selected this line in curves, the text will appear at the angle. Normally the text comes in perfectly horizontally. So if you want the text at an angle, draw a center line first, and then make sure you click on it in this curves box. Now that's a little small, so let's select the text. Deselect Use Document Font, which will allow you to select font. And then you can change the size. So let's make it, instead of 13, let's make it 36. And let's just pick a different font. I'm not going to be too fussy. Let's just pick this one. And you can cycle through the different fonts that you want yourself. So now when you have that, you should be able to extrude it, which you can do there. And obviously you don't want to extrude it out too much. So I'm just going to extrude it out maybe 6 mil. And it'll probably look a little bit better if you can fill it over some of the tops and the bottoms. And I'm not going to waste a lot of time doing that, but you should be able to fill it over the top faces like this. Okay, I'm not going to bother putting that on. So when you have that anyway, you should be able to put, say, polished copper onto that. And if you want to mix this up a little bit, you should be able to put a different material. Let's just say a bit of plastic, say high gloss black plastic onto the extrusion. So if you render that, it'll look pretty good, but there's no light on it. So the first thing we're going to do, and in fact I'll press render tools and a preview window. That's just a little warning telling me I should really turn on perspective. So wait for this, and it looks okay, but you can see the shadows are all wrong. So the first thing I will do is turn on perspective, and I'm going to go over here to this particular fella, the display manager. Then I'm going to go to this third icon, which is view scene lights and cameras, and press the plus beside the lights folder. You can see here there are 5 different types of lights in play. So if I right click each of them and turn them off, for instance ambient light off in SolidWorks, you can see the scene gets a little darker. It's worth noting there are 3 lights here, 3 directional lights. If I right click one of them and go show lights, you can see them. You can't edit them just yet, they're fixed. You need to right click one of them over here, select edit all lights. Now you should be able to drag them, and you can see as you drag them around the lighting changes. And the reason we had a shadow a moment ago is because all the lights were pointing from the back, but you can drag those around to the front if you want. A thing a lot of people don't realize is there are 2 icons beside each of the lights, one yellow, one grey. The first one on the left means it is on in SolidWorks. The fact that this one is grey means it's off in photo view. So this column is SolidWorks, this column is photo view. So I can turn each of these off in SolidWorks one at a time, and the scene will get darker and darker and darker. It's very important to notice that when you do want a proper render later, if you want those lights to be on, you should right click and go on in photo view. So those 3 icons should really be golden when you want a usual render. So just for now I'm going to turn them back on just so I can see what I'm doing. What I want to do is right click over here somewhere and go add spotlight. And that brings in a light like this, which I should be able to drag around and edit. So as you drag it around, you can drag around the focus point, and I'm going to put the focus point somewhere on the light. You can see unfortunately the cone is very big, so I'm going to go over here and change the angle to about 22 degrees, say. Makes it much more narrower, which means I can now shine it exactly where I want it. And you can play around with that, getting it just exactly where you want it. And even now that I look at it, it seems a little bit wide. I'm going to change it maybe to 15 degrees, and now it looks a little bit more focused. That itself won't give me a very nice render because there's a few more lights in play. So if I go to preview window, give it a moment. It's not bad, but you can see, well, first of all, this is what I'm talking about. This preview window shows me what's going to happen in photo view. I can see here clearly in the main graphics window that the light is shining, but here it's not. And that's because the light I added over here, spot 1, note the second icon, the photo view icon, is turned off. So if I right click it and go on in photo view, in a moment you should see, and there it is, sure enough, it appears in photo view. So it will not appear in photo view unless you turn it on over here. So what I want to do is turn off all the lights apart from this spotlight. So directional 1 needs to be off in SolidWorks. And the last one to turn off is the scene illumination. Now unfortunately you can't just turn that off, you need to edit it. So you need to go right click, edit all lights, or sorry, right click, I'll do that again. It's actually a right click and edit scene illumination, and you want to just take it from the brightness, put them all right way back down to 0. Now, I tend not to put them all back to fully 0. Sometimes it looks better if you leave 0.1 there, but you can play around with those yourself. And there you have it. So when you zoom right the way in on this, and render it. In fact, I might just put all those down to 0. It might give me a darker image. There you go. And when you render it, it looks the part. Now that looks a little bit shiny there, so I will actually edit this just to twist it around. I'll approve that, and I'll right click and go edit spotlight. It should allow me just to change that at a more of a glancing angle, so it won't be as bright. There you go, you can actually read the text now. So as I said, this is just a preview window. Once you're happy with that, then you should call up the final render, and unfortunately this might take a minute or two to render, which it will. Okay, but you should get the exact same image we were talking about before.